Let's get started. We'll start with the ratio KPI, the ratio insight. So I'll start from a new chart. By default, when I start a new chart, it selects the issue and pull request dataset because it's the most popular. I'll switch to commits. The visualization is fine. I'm fine with the line chart. So I'll configure the data that I'm retrieving. I'm going to sort that in a descending order because I prefer to have fresh data first. And what it is showing me at the moment is a count of commits per month. All right, well, that gives me volume activity metrics, but I think we can do something a bit more interesting than that. The first thing is, this is using the created at of the commit. I prefer to have the created at of the parent pull request. So I'm going to change that to use the pull request created at rather than the commit date. Then I'm not interested into pull requests which are currently open. What I would like to do is look at commits that have been merged into master, because commits that have been merged into master or main are the commits that usually have made it to production. So that's what I want to look at. I'm going to add a filter which says parent pull request. The state of the parent pull request is equal to merged. All right. Now I'm looking at a count of commits per month which have been merged to master. All right. Now I want to create a ratio that shows me the amount of commits that were related to fixing bugs. What I'm going to do to start with is add a metric. So on a chart, you can have multiple metrics. Here, I've added another count. It's exactly the same metric. It's absolutely not useful. So I'm going to create a custom formula, and I'm going to count the commits which are fixing things. So I'm going to use a countif. Let me expand this formula. I'm going to use a countif and a regex expression on the message of the commits. I'm going to say I want to count all the commits which include the keyword fix. Just to be specific, this is case insensitive. So if your developers use fix or fix with a capital F, they will be both taken into account. All right. It's great. I'm saving this. Now I've got two lines. I'm going to change the color so we can see up on the charts. I've got a count of commits, and among this commit, I've got the count of commits which are related to a fix. Now, that's not exactly what I want. What I want is a ratio. So I don't want to have two separate metrics. I want to have a ratio of fix versus total count. So I'm going to expand on that formula, and I'm going to divide the countif by the count of commits. And now I'm getting a ratio with a lot of numbers. So I want something in percentage. So I'm going to multiply that by 100, and I'm going to round it to, let's say, 2 numbers. And I'm now getting a percentage. Here, in September, we had 4% of commits which were related to a fix. This count here is not useful anymore, so I'm going to remove it. And I'm now getting a clean chart with my ratio of fixed commits versus the total number of commits. And this is a percentage. So let's clean up that chart. I'm going to name it Rework ratio. I'm going to explain what it is doing. Rework ratio shows how much fixed commits are merged versus regular commits. I'm going to name my metric. I'm just going to call it ratio. And the reason why naming the metric here is important is because in the label, when you have multiple series, it shows you the right right naming here. So I've got a ratio. And here I'm just going to say as well, I'm going to name my Y label, my Y-axis label, and I'm going to say ratio, and it's in percentage. I'm going to show that, and we are done. Now, this rework ratio is showing a lot of historical data. You can see that it's going back to 2020. I don't think I need that much data in my charts. I want to focus on the current year. So let's do that. I'm going to edit that insight. I'm going to go back to the configure table section, and I'm going to add a filter and going to specify that I want the pull request created at to be within the current year. So I'm just using current year here. And now we're seeing a more focused version of the rework ratio chart. And now what does this ratio is telling me? It's telling me that overall, we are doing less and less commits, focusing on fixing bugs. So let's go back to what commits are doing. If I've got a commit that says fix something, it's probably because a month ago or 2 weeks ago, we introduced a bug. So this somehow expresses a level of rework. And that's why you may call it change failure rates, because if a fixed commit goes into master and into production, it means that you've corrected a failure. And this here shows that we are going in the right direction. And that's why this metric is monitored by top companies like Netflix and Amazon, because it shows you how much care you're bringing to the features that you're shipping, how much testing, should it be automated or manual, how much review you're doing. And if your rework ratio or change failure rate ratio is going down, it means that the features you are delivering are getting more robust. Of course, this insight relies on engineers using the right keywords in their commits. But again, because we're using regex on commit messages, if, for example, they use sometimes defect instead of fix or some other keywords, you can actually include that in keepup and compensate for the lack of convention in your team and still have accurate metrics. All right, that's for the rework ratio. Let's